Good morning everyone. This is my next part. In this position, I'm going to show you the double bishop advantage. So most of us was not so much aware of the power of double bishop. So in advanced chess, double bishop are usually stronger than bishop and knight and two knights. The double bishop advantage will be more when the position is open, and in most of the cases two bishops are much stronger than two knights or a bishop and knight. So whereas as double knights are also good in some cases where the pawn structure is closed, or even sometimes the center is closed, or sometimes if you have a good outpost in the center with the knights. So this is a position where the power of double bishop will be very more, because the position is like semi-opened, and now white tries to explore the position and try to open up the position to have a good bishop diagonals. So let us start analyze from this position, where now white having a very good passed pawn, not so much, but it's having two attacks by rook and knight. You cannot support this pawn, but white still having a double bishop advantage. The king side pawn structure on b4 and a2 are equal to a7 and b6, whereas queen side black is having up 4 pawns against 3 pawns, although this pawn structure will be equal in the end game, because the f7 and the pawn on f5 are double the pawns. So these two pawns can be almost equal, but if you tries to support this pawn on d6, then white will be having a good advantage. So let us analyze from this position. Now what is white planning and what is black threat? So immediately black is trying to grab this pawn on d6 with rook into d6, and there is no way of stopping this. You can play bishop b5, but still rook into d6, and if you take bishop into e8, and you'll grab this rook on d1. So there is no possibility of playing bishop b5. So how can white activate this bishop on f2? Is there any way to activate this bishop on f2, or even use any kind of terms to support this pawn on d6? If for example, if black played something like move b5 and bishop sits on c5, then white is clearly better of these two bishops, very strong. So black won't allow to open up this position, where white should try to force and open this position. Let us analyze from here. For example, if you play any move like rook c1, he will simply grab with knight into d6, and later he prevents the c8, and white is a pawn down, but he can easily hold to a draw. Now how you prevent that rook into d6 or knight into d6? So here white played a very good move, trying to stop rook d6, and so pause this position for a while and try to see this move. Okay, most of it, I think you got the move, that is rook e1, using the pin on the both knights. Now he cannot grab the knight into d6 or rook into d6. So because rook into e5, if you take knight g6, if you play knight g6 or knight anyway to c6, rook into e8 is going down. So he played f4 f6, which is a forced move. Now try to activate this bishop on f2 such that this position will be clear for white. Okay, now he played f4, which is a very good move to activate this bishop on h4. Now black is forced to take f4, or else if he played something like knight g6, this knight on e8 is hanging. So we have to take with g into f4. So black is two pawns up in the king side, but all these pawns are isolated and doubled, tripled isolated pawns. This will be a tremendous weakness. Once if you play rook f1, all this pawn will easily fall in the endgame. Even after king and pawn ending, these two pawns will fall very easily. So there is no problem for white for giving f4. Now he played move bishop b5. If you grab with rook into d6, this knight on e8 will be hanging. So if you take with knight, so rook on d7 will be hanging. So he have to support both and played rook d8. Now the threatening is to take knight into e6. Okay, here he played again a good move, which is what the reason why we gave f4. So he played bishop h4. Now the threatening is bishop into f6 and attacking the rook on d8 and knight on e5. So if you play with rook, still the knight is hanging on e8. So you have to play with knight into d6 and bishop into f6. So here we achieved the position where two bishops are almost open. We have given the d6 pawn to activate these two bishops, and these f4 f5 pawns are tremendous weakness, and there is no good square for this rook to support e5. So he played rook c8, and to support this bishop he played rook into e5, gains the piece. So here he played rook c1, and the game is pretty easy from white. Bishop f1, knight c4 threatening knight e2 and grabbing the bishop on f1. So he played rook e8 check, king f7 and rook c8, pinning this piece. So if you grab the bishop on f6, you will simply take rook into c4. That endgame is very easy for white. So he played b5 supporting the knight, bishop g5, rook b1 and bishop f4, rook into b4 and rook c7 check. Here he resigned the game in view of rook into a7 and rook into h7, and still having a very good paid bishops. So in bishop and knight positions, we mostly try to open the position, give the bishops a good diagonals, and try to analyze the position and make the bishops a free movement. Whereas if you have this position from black side, you try to close the position, don't give bishops much chance to open up the diagonals. Even though if you get one or two pawns, you don't try to activate the opponent bishops freely. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed this example. See you in the next class.